This is Corin Landwalker, and tonight we have another episode of Star Trek Online. For those who've been following for the last month and a half or so, I've been spending a lot of time doing the old feature episodes. Those episodes have been completed, which means tonight we are going to engage in a journey that was begun before the feature episodes. We are going to begin a new year. I know I'm a few weeks early technically, but I couldn't stretch this out for another couple of weeks because it would have been really hilarious to have 2410 start at the same time as roughly 2021. It happens. So let's pull into the game here. I have helpfully taken us to the Dyson Sphere Gateway because that is where everything is going to start happening. We're going to be doing a couple things first, however. That was not one of them. First, I want to check on something here because I kept hearing things about forced respecs, but apparently it didn't actually happen, which is good. I know that they had said they were putting a patch out, they delayed it so it wouldn't do a forced respec, but I am an untrusting soul. Let's take care of some other administrivia too while we're here. Dyson Joint Command. Terran Task Force. And that is going to get us an upgrade. I do have enough Terran marks, thanks to the end activities last week, where I basically killed time in the Badlands. And somewhere along the line I got Temporal Defense. I have no idea how I got those marks. Honestly, I don't. So we're going to claim those rewards too. And looks like we have some logs there. Figures, what do you know? We have logs there at DS9, which I just left. Well, that's okay. We can come back to it. DS9 will be back in the queue someday. In the meantime, we will continue on with that particular reputation. And we have another DS9 related one, which I'm also going to ignore. It is going to get awfully busy at DS9 next time I'm over there. I still have marks here, so we'll fill that up. I don't believe I have anything. No, I don't have enough to do another Dyson reputation. So what did I get out of all of that? Well, I've got the potential to add Dibernium Mesh, which will help phaser damage and control resistance. Close quarters combatant. And you run faster, which I can see the attraction, but we're not going to go with that. For temporal defense, and what do you know it, that was what was up. Temporal flux conditioning, which is apparently a resistance against damage over time and hazard effects. And I guess the hazard effects would be the kind of things that, kind of like those bubbles you run into that the Undine pop out that can harm you, I guess. I'm guessing here, I don't actually know. And miniaturized chronocapacitor, which reduces kit module recharge times. Now you know, that one sounds useful. Let's take a look at my ground traits right now. Right now I've got Deadly Aim, Disabling Strikes, Lethality, and Reactive Shielding. I'm going to get rid of the Reactive Shielding for the recharge time. Anything that helps the kits recharge faster, I can get behind. Now you'll also notice, in case you have not been following recently, that I have changed up ships to a Bajoran Interceptor, and we're going to see how well this flies, but I have a sneaking feeling that I'm going to throw this out the window too at some point. But I would like to give it its chance. I don't want to throw it in the garbage until I've decided that this doesn't suit the playstyle for the character. So, with that in mind, our next step is to go through the gateway to Dyson Sphere, and what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Joint Command Center and clear out those reputation missions that came up. Once we've done that, then we can start the big goal of the day, or the night. I guess it's day, depending on where you happen to be at any given time. Beam to Joint Command. There we go. The last time I was here, I went to listen to an entry from one of the Voth who was unenthused by his faction's stasis, resistance to change, inability to handle science. That sounds awfully familiar. In any event, it feels like the time to... Here, I think this is it. That's the tier 1 cutscene. Go to the science lab. Go to the science lab. Oh. Who knew? There was actually an interactable door there. I'm contacting
I was pleased to receive your message, even if I have to keep this conversation a secret from everyone I know. There are many topics that have been deemed controversial and off-limits. Inquisitors examine our work on a regular basis, but questions need to be asked if we are to maintain any sort of scientific credibility. Have you ever wondered at the fact that both our people were able to enter this sphere from opposite ends? That we could move through halls, through rooms, through entire buildings without finding another living thing? Until we encountered one another. The Ministry of Elders would have me publish papers claiming that this sphere was created by our ancestors. But why would they abandon this place? Why would anyone abandon this place?
Good questions all.
As far as I can tell, this place was commissioned but not built by a race called the Iconians. A war forced them to abandon their home in favor of this more strategic location. Imagine how many fleets of warships could fit inside here, fed by food grown on thousands of hectares of carefully constructed surfaces, powered by the entire energy of a star, and all waiting to ambush from the dark space of the night sky.
Cheerful thought, that.
The Voth are not warmongers. We have taught doctrine to weaker species, but weapons are usually not required. When the Voth have encountered opposition, we have resisted attempts by others to add us to their own ranks. Fights between evenly matched adversaries tend to be futile. A sphere might convince some that the odds have shifted in our favor. Which brings us back to my first question. Why did the original inhabitants of the sphere leave? Did they feel safe and pick a fight against a superior enemy and lose? Or were they forced to leave by some internal flaw in their fortress?
Lovely thought.
We may all be doomed to the fate of those who lived here before if we aren't careful.
End of file.
I would love to know what the next recording on that would have been. Okay, let's see the next one. I had unsafe practices as the next one on the list.
Hello. Thank you for continuing to remind me that there are other sane minds out there.
And this feels too real sometimes.
My concerns about the dangers of the sphere's technology have fallen on deaf ears. In rebuttal, I'm fed propaganda about the sphere's Voth origins and how easy my job should be. But how easy can a job be if I'm constantly being interrupted by alarms and avoiding catastrophes? In my lab, the Ministry of Elders and their Inquisitor lackeys have installed accomplices who are willing to answer yes when I say no. Advancement is their only goal, not reason, not discovery,
this
and
is
certainly not safety.
creepy.
Unfortunately, they are rarely up to the tasks for which they volunteer. But the problems may be bigger than incompetent lab techs. No one here wants to hear that we may not be capable of using this technology, or that the cost of trying could be the destruction of this entire sector of space. The builders of this sphere aren't here to tell us the results of their experiments, but I'm convinced that something did go terribly wrong. There is evidence of a celestial trauma that has significantly reduced the energy output from this installation's central star. Add to that the fact that the spires have been optimized for a different spectral band than the one that this star produces, and we're left with strong evidence of a large-scale industrial accident. Such an accident would explain why this place was abandoned. I've conducted a detailed scan of one of the spires and found trace amounts of tetrion particles. Any industrial accident large enough to leave these trace tetrion particles thousands of years afterwards would have permeated all organic life caught in the blast, with enough tetrionic energy to force any survivors to retreat to subspace. So, if the creators of this technology weren't savvy enough to prevent such a huge disaster, what chance do my people or yours have to do any better? I fear this technology. I fear it in not just the wrong hands, but in any hands. We need to work together to make sure no one tries to activate the sphere. Our lives may depend on it.
End of file.
Now, when you consider how much of the story is being put into these reputations, you kind of wonder whether or not that's really a smart thing to be doing at this point. There's interesting stuff that comes about this, and I feel like these missions ought to be sprinkled in with the Dyson Sphere missions, except, well, there really aren't that many Dyson Sphere missions in total. So, that's a problem. And I get why they don't have this one done that way, because at the end of the chain, Nexon becomes a part of your crew as a bridge officer. And that's probably not something they want to just throw in for free. Although, they do that for advancing characters anyway, so I don't see what the big deal on it is. In any event, that's probably the last we're going to get as far as the Dyson Sphere stuff, because moving forward, we're not going to be getting very many Dyson Sphere marks, and by the time I get to the Tier 5, which has the end game of all this storyline stuff here, we'll have gone way past any point where that information would be even remotely relevant. It's sad. But it is what it is, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get out of the Dyson Sphere right now, because picking up the next mission is probably going to insist that I come in via sector space. Which would be, this environment. And I just don't feel like fighting a thing before I have to. Alright, here we go. Ordinarily, I would give a nice big recap of everything that has gone before, but I'm pretty sure we'll be getting a recap by the game itself momentarily. But first, since Tuvok has chosen not to speak here, I'm afraid I will have to do his voice instead. Recent events have underscored the threat posed by the Undine. The native species of fluidic space, these aliens have infiltrated galactic powers, including the Federation, by using their shapeshifting and telepathic abilities. In an attempt to form a united front against this threat, I have called for a summit to discuss the means by which the various governments of the Alpha and Beta quadrants can detect and neutralize the Undine presence. The location for the talks will be the Jenolan Dyson Sphere. Control of this site is currently under dispute by the Federation, the Klingon Empire, and the Romulan Republic. However, I believe that access to the sphere should be a secondary concern to that of the threat of the Undine. Your experience in the field may provide a valuable perspective, as well as a moderating influence. Please attend as a representative of the Federation. You know, technically, I'm attending as a representative of the Republic, but sure, we'll talk for the Federation too. You'll see that we have our usual trifecta of XP, expertise, and dilithium ore, in addition to 15 Undine marks. The expertise is, once again, a piddling amount, although a lot more than I was getting for, well, not really actually. Let's just say that it's slightly better, and leave it at that, than what I was getting for this future episodes. I will be able to choose one of the following. We have a list here. A ground trait. Fluidic antigens, which would be resistance to toxic damage. And the ability to remove a toxic effect by 10%. Well, 10% chance to remove it. Not horribly impressed. Living hull. Regeneration. Again. Then we have some profession-specific kits. And one for each of us. And they pretty much do the same thing, which is up your willpower, increase your damage against Undine, and is part of the Counter Command Elite set. Most of which I don't recall how to get. If I need to know that badly, I can look it up on the STO wiki. Still, it might be better than the kits I'm wearing now, and I'm unenthused by either of the traits, so let us accept the mission and begin surface tension. Hang on to your hats. This is going to be quite a ride.
Last time on Star Trek Online.
We are fighting a war on multiple fronts. We have to consider the Borg, the Undine, and the Romulans, as well as the Klingons.
I see now my deception has been exposed.
Some of these come from the Starfleet set of missions, which, you know, we haven't
Starfleet
seen.
has lost too many ships and too many good men and women to a fight we now know was caused by Iconian and Undine influence.
Is that...
An Iconian gateway? Yes, I believe it is.
Into the gateway, now!
Are all those markers Iconian gateways?
Sir, we've been scanning the gateway. The monitors on the bridge are all showing an Omega.
Welcome to the Delta Quadrant. We are within the Solar Dyson Sphere, a spherical structure built around a star.
We now know why the sphere generates vast amounts of Omega particles. It is designed to use those particles as fuel to jump to any area of space.
It now appears that the Jenolan Sphere had the same jump capabilities as the Solanade and moved to this location.
You're not Cooper.
As you can tell,
We will repel
they never really updated the optics in the
to
trailer.
the Alpha Quadrant threat. The Undine are a threat to us all. I propose a summit. We must decide together what we must do to protect the Alpha Quadrant. Our disputes may need to be put aside in the face of a greater enemy.
Still, it does sum up the story thus far. And you see, 2410. The year has kicked over. I'm not going to sing Auld Lang
Welcome to
Syne.
the Delta Quadrant. I will admit that I did not expect to be here with Voyager again. It is agreeable. Thank you for agreeing to attend this conference and supporting my position on the Undine. However, reaching a consensus today will be difficult. Many different agendas will be represented here today. I will speak to you in person shortly. Tuvok out.
Welcome to the Janolan Dyson Sphere. Please beam down to these coordinates.
Now, it occurs to me that the last time that I was joining a joint appearance by Klingons and Starfleet, that we ended up in a collapsing cavern with an Iconian gateway is the only way out. And, ooh, shiny. I can't pass that up. I'm sadly consistent. Alright. Commander Jarok, the commander of the Romulan flagship, the Lisette.
I'm glad to have you here. This conference is a significant opportunity for our people. But given our relatively new position, I feel it can be hard to get the other galactic powers to see us as anything more than helpless refugees. That needs to change. Please follow me to the conference room. I have a feeling we have a long day ahead of us.
You are not kidding. Now, there we go. I was beginning to wonder if by follow it meant you take the lead and... Now, I'm pretty sure, but not 100% sure, that you would see the commander of the flagship of whatever faction you're running. So if I were a Klingon, I'd be seeing the commander of the Fortescue. Sean, if I were a Starfleet for the Enterprise. I can't prove that offhand, but it feels logical. Oops. Well, I'm speaking Vulcan. Don't let me do that. And there's Tuvok, and there he is in the more modern day outfit. Let's see what the man has to say.
It is my sincere hope that the Romulan Republic will join the galactic community in addressing the threat posed by the Undine. This is also an opportunity to open dialogues regarding other pertinent matters. I would recommend assisting your pro-council while we complete our final preparations. The talks will begin shortly.
That means having a chat with my boss over here. Titan, who's come a long way from the a passenger on the Romulan flotilla.
I have some concerns about this conference, but I am sure that you will be able to allay them. My only goal is to ensure that our people's desires are not overlooked.
Such as?
I would be gratified if you would assist me with the following issues.
Here we go.
What transpires at this conference may not be accurately represented later. In order to prevent other parties from abrogating their agreements, place recording devices so the Republic will have its own records of what transpires here. This will not only protect Romulan interests, it will protect our allies. As a neutral party with full records, this conference should not be a new source of conflict for the Klingons and Federation.
You know, there are some who might say that sounds awfully similar to Tal Shiar work. I'm just saying.
The other groups here will have their own secret goals. Please monitor communications so that the Republic is not surprised by any of their demands. You should be able to use one of the consoles set up for the conference.
You got it, boss. So, I see a glowy thing up there, so we'll start with that. I love how we have this thing here saying, what do I do now? Okay, that's one recording device. Ooh, ooh. More shiny. Must scan and harvest. I am sadly predictable. Future of the galaxy at stake? Or shiny harvestable? Easy choice. Which is probably why I'm not the pro console. And there's number 2. Now, where would I be if I were a third recording device in it? installed. Up here looks logical. I'm doing it again, talking like Vulcans. What the hell's wrong with me? Alright, now, right down there looks like the spot for monitoring communications. Let's see if there's anything interesting. Okay, we've seen this kind of thing before. Okay, current frequency 50.6.
No signs of Tal Shiar infiltration, but we'll keep checking internal logs.
No, we're acting like the Tal Shiar right now. Don't mind us. Increase 162.
The conference security. We don't want the Romulans to think that we're...
Ooh, you sound like a bad puppy. Let's listen more.
The preliminary tasks are complete. You
Oh, I
should
guess
speak
I don't
with
get to
Admiral
listen
Tuvok
more.
again.
Well, I'm sure. Okay, that's... Okay, maybe I can blame myself on that. Okay, now that's just off. I think they need to redo the graphic work on here just a littlest bit.
The delegates have all arrived. The presentation will begin shortly. You have some time to familiarize yourself with the other ambassadors and their positions. I suggest that you do so.
Alright then. Let's, Choices. Where to start? I think we'll start with the unpleasant one first. Just fall right through those, slats. Oh wait, that's Detan. I'm saving him for last. Why am I saving him for last? Because I know he's rational. It's the task! Oh, I just love this guy.
The Romulan Republic has thus far proven to be a fairly reliable ally. If you wish to continue to make a positive impression on the Empire, when you speak with the other delegates, you should underscore the severity of the threat posed by these shapeshifters. You are familiar with the machinations of the Tal Shiar. Imagine if they had the ability to appear as anyone at any time. That is the danger of the Undine.
Yeah, that's a scary thought right there. Thank you, Ambassador. You have managed to frighten the hell out of me. Now, we have a couple delegates here, and I find this one very interesting because we have a Xindi delegate here. For those who are unfamiliar with the Star Trek Enterprise series, during their third season, pretty sure it was their third season, the Xindi were the overarching bad guys for that season. Although bad guys is really not quite accurate because Xindi are actually 5 or 6 species on the same world. And only a couple of them would be considered bad. And to be fair, we didn't really see all of them. Just a certain select group. And they did bad things, but it seems that the Xindi, as of 2410, are at least members of the Federation now. Let's see what the man has to say.
The Xindi are here to support Admiral Tuvok's call for cooperation. We know what tragedies befall a people who are being manipulated by outsiders, as we once were. The Undine's lies and manipulation remind us of the Sphere Builders, whose deceptions led us to make one of the greatest mistakes in our history. There are 5 races on my world. We all know reaching a consensus can be difficult, but the Xindi are living proof that if we put aside animosity, our differences can make us stronger.
There were a lot of people who thought that this guy's appearance were going to represent a big Xindi arc of some kind. Never happened.
The Federation's position is quite
Jiro.
clear. We believe the only way to safeguard the future of the Alpha and Beta quadrants is for all the galactic powers to behave as reasonable entities and work together to oppose those who would threaten our worlds. It doesn't matter if that threat comes from the Undine, the Borg, or the Iconians. The response is the same.
That was unexpectedly brief. Remembering our previous encounter with the fellow, all the way back to... was it the Kinema conference? Might have been. When we were certainly, establishing ourselves as a republic, he certainly seemed to talk on and on and on. Kind of like, you know, certain streamers who remain nameless, but is currently streaming this game. Do-do-do-do, whistle, whistle, whistle. I'm bad. And now, finally, to Todd. Because, hey, he's the boss.
We will have an opportunity to take a leadership role here. Our knowledge of the Solanae sphere should be an advantage. In addition, we control the gateway to the sphere's in Taudewa space. We've built a home, and you fought to preserve it. Now, we need to secure our place among the stars.
We have little other technical details like, you know, shape-shifting aliens blowing up.
Yes, the Undine. Very interesting. My security advisors have been looking over the data, and we are all very curious to hear what you and Admiral Tuvok have to say on the matter.
Ooh, you've got a few things to say.
You've
of course.
spoken with representatives of all of the delegations. You should return to Admiral Tuvok.
Who, of course, will be doing most of the talking. I'm just there for moral support.
We are almost ready to begin. Will you complete the final preparations for the conference while I speak to Captain Sean? After that, your assistance in encouraging everyone to take their seats would be appreciated. I must join the Federation delegation.
Awesome. I've become an usher. Reconfigure room. Let's see what that does. Ooh, ready. If I knew what half what I was looking at was, I'd be more impressed. Alien constellations, maybe? Star charts? Trade routes? Your guess is as good as mine. Let's start telling people to move their hind ends to the seats.
I was just going. Don't rush me.
Yeah, that's a Bajoran to the core, alright. Speaking of people who are going to be... Yeah. Here we go.
It seems the time has come at last. Thank you for the reminder.
So another example of Garrick being inserted in. Used to be Rugen's skill or something like that. Way, way, way back in the day. Oh, looks like the remaining people are actually down here. And, yep, speaking of people who were brought in, Grand Nagus Rom.
I suppose we can begin.
Kind of makes me wonder. Well, if it becomes relevant, you can be sure I'll say something. And speaking of Ferengi, okay, that's not Mandarin. I wanted to make sure.
Oh, yes, I will take my seat.
Thank you.
You can start the presentation from the control console.
Alrighty then. Let us get the show on the road. I guess I have to stand actually behind it.
The Undine represent a clear and present danger to not only the Federation, but also the Klingon Empire and Romulan Republic. The damage done here by a mere handful of ships is clear evidence for the need for cooperation.
With respect, Admiral, the Romulan Republic is quite capable of leading exploration and security measures here, just as we have led efforts to secure the Solanae sphere. my militia.
I find it interesting that the Federation suddenly has concerns about the Undine now. Where was the Federation when the Empire discovered Undine infiltrators in the Alpha Quadrant? Or is the Federation
There's a whole backstory
only
behind this
interested
that
now? The
isn't really all evident in the Romulan storyline.
Given the exceptionally complicated nature of such...
Ambassador, given what we now know, that was a mistake. The Empire recognized the Undine threat years ago. We didn't.
You admit you are wrong?
This is
the
actually
evidence
a big
provided
deal.
by Admiral Tuvok and his team is sound.
Thank you, Captain Sean. However, dwelling on past mistakes will not solve the problems of the present.
Our fleet stands ready to protect both spheres from the Undine.
The Undine can wait. We have more important business to discuss. Who owns this sphere? I represent a consortium of businessmen on Ferenginar. We are prepared to invest significant venture capital into transforming this sphere into a vacation destination to rival Risa. I have a proposal of
he's consistent.
$500 million of... What's that?
I'm sensing something that's going to blow the hell out of the resort idea.
A massive fleet of Undine vessels just appeared from a rift. They're setting a course for the gateway.
That's bad.
What do they want?
Unknown. Drop to Lisette. Track their course.
Enterprise to Captain Sean. We're receiving a distress signal from Earth's space dock.
Sean to Federation Fleet. Red alert. Prepare for immediate departure.
The Federation is our enemy, but the Undine attack like assassins in the night.
We will crush the Kamikuv.
Ah, enthusiasm.
A significant Undine force is headed for the Sol system. The issue of the spheres, and your people's alliance with the Federation, will be meaningless unless the Undine are stopped. Are you willing to join the fight?
Well, my opinion is, you guys stood with us when we were down and out. We're going to stand with you. Off to Earth.
Species 8472 is already boarding Earth space dock. Once we are through the gateway, we must render assistance as soon as possible.
Boy, they went fast. But at least we don't have to deal with the travel here. So we might have some distance to go.
I am picking up several distress calls from across the system. Curious. There are fewer Undine vessels than we witnessed using the gateway.
That's bad. What do your bosses have to say?
Negative. The subspace relay booster network appears to be offline. I am reading Undine ships attacking Earth space dock, as well as attacks on the lunar colonies and the orbital habitat on the far side of Earth.
Okay, we're gonna have to split up.
Agreed. Enterprise will clear the area around the lunar colonies.
And we'll hit space dock.
Fine. Jirok and I will clear the far side of the planet.
Have fun, don't forget to write.
Enterprise will set course for Luna.
The Fortescue and the Lisette will lead the fight on the far side of Earth.
Now, hopefully, we'll have enough other ships getting involved here that... Ooh. Well, I said this was going to be a problem, didn't I? Okay, we have some other stuff happening here too. That's good. Yay, I've got friends. There's Voyager doing its thing. After all these years, he's still kicking. Oops. Okay, that didn't work out well. So far, so good, though. Man, I hate when they teleport like that into a rift and out of another one. Don't need that there anymore. Since I have that weapon on auto fire, it seems silly to have it kind of sitting there. Thanks for that great observation, Tuvok. Alright, Orbital Arc 45 is handled. Now, exactly how they determine these numbers for the orbital arcs, I do not know.
Earth's space dock is taking severe structural damage.
That looks bad. More on that later. This is Task Force. Yes, Tuvok. Thank you for that observation. What I really want is backup. Good maneuverability going here, that's always helpful. Small maneuverable ships, they may have issues with their overall health.
There are still undine ships in the system. We must eliminate them.
But it's nice to be in a ship that can actually turn relatively quickly. As opposed to, you know, the cruisers, which move like pregnant yaks, to borrow a phrase.
If we do not hurry, Earth's space dock may be destroyed.
Maybe. I think it's doing a great job on being destroyed right now. Earth has definitely had better days. I hope I managed to assist that task force, because I don't see anything indicating that it got helped or not. Well, I guess it is, because I see assist check marks, so... Great, like it's not busy enough. Yeah, that's old news now, Corin. I think now we have bigger problems on our hands. Times like this make me really glad to have Miracle Worker on my side. Well, the good news is plenty of people are opening firing on that thing now, so hopefully it will go down with a minimal amount of damage to me personally. Shields are a mess, so there it goes. Bye-bye, Dreadnought. Of course, I can't claim all the credit, because, you know, there are an awful lot of starships here. And we're getting a lot of props here, which means I might be able to outfit the ship a little better in the future. Just looking ahead. You don't need to drop everything for that. It's not nearly as effective as harvesting shinies. I'm a horrible person. Oh, those engines look like they'll be helpful. Okay, back to dealing with Orbital Arc 15. I guess that man did not get done while we were busy. Splintered Shield's Accolade. I think that means I've either taken lots of hits or... No, I've dealt phaser damage. That's not exactly how I would have put it, but... Sure, we'll go with that. Space Dock has looked better, hasn't it?
Any ships still in range? There are Undine hunting parties on Earth Space Dock. We're fighting them, but comms are spotty. I was lucky to get an external signal working. We need any assistance you can spare.
You trust us on your station? We're Romulan. Well, my crew's Romulans.
You're supposed to be our allies, aren't you? Right now, I'd let the Borg on board if they'd help us drive out the Undine.
Fun fact, way back in the beta, at the closing days of the beta, in fact, probably the last day of the beta, the devs spawned endless attacks of Borg on Earth's space dock. It was glorious. I don't think I have any... I might have screenshots somewhere that have those last days, but obviously I don't have them handy. But it's a amusing aside. This was back in the days when you could accidentally have your starship wandering space dock. Long story. We'll help out.
I've received orders from New Romulus. In light of this situation, the Lisette is being recalled to defend the homeworld. You should stay here and assist Starfleet. They sound like they need your help.
They do sound like they need my help. Admiral Tuvok?
The boarding parties on Earth's space dock should be our main concern. The Undine will be attempting to cripple Starfleet operations, gain valuable data, and capture ranking officers. We cannot afford to allow them to succeed. I am prepared to beam down immediately. Your assistance will greatly improve our chances of success.
Now, you would think that in a situation like this, I would be beamed down with my bridge crew or my away team. But no!
Earth's space dock has sustained severe damage from multiple Undine boarding parties. We must locate Admiral Quinn. The most expedient path to the Admiral's office is through those doors. Our mission objectives are clear. We must ascertain the whereabouts of Admiral Quinn and expel all Undine boarders. Teams from other ships have beamed to lower decks here in the station. While the Klingons' willingness to assist the Federation is unexpected, it is gratifying to be united in purpose with our allies from the Republic.
Now, I just want to take a moment to take a quick look around here. And you may think to yourself, this doesn't look a damn thing like space dock. And you would be half right. This, without the debris, is how space dock looked at launch. We had, granted this was a full circular layout, but it had these 4 central sections. In fact, the current Earth space dock that you see in game, this is the rationale for why it looks the way it does now. I'm gonna do a deeper cut too. Originally, when the game launched, Earth's space dock was not the familiar spindle. It was a very different look, and it kind of corresponded a bit to the way this layout is. Somewhere along the line, if I remember, I'll try to dig out some old pictures and put them on a stream someday. Maybe a while though, because I'm notorious for losing track of anything I say at any time. But the players didn't like it. I guess they could not handle the possibility that Earth's space dock may have been replaced with this brand new space station. And to be fair, they had a little bit of a point. It's only been 30-ish years between the end of Voyager and Star Trek Online. And building something that huge, maybe it could be done. I don't know if they would. And it all became academic anyway because the devs listened and they decided, okay, you know what, you guys want the spindle back? You've got it. So along comes Q during an anniversary or something like that, and bam, old space dock exterior gone. The current exterior is here. But the interior remained the same. Until this mission came along and blew the hell out of everything. And what you see in Space Dock now is the remodeled version. So that's a little look at history right there. Let's see if there's anything shiny to collect before I go over here. Nope, okay. But there are 2 shinies, so I'm going to remember that. Let's try to open the door. That didn't work. Oh, someone moaning over here. We've been standing here all this time and, you know, nobody bothered. Ensign Rack. Rake? Rat? Ah, bloody names.
Everything hurts. Oh. What? Who? Admiral Tuvok? And... I'm sorry. I can't remember if we've met before.
We haven't. What happened?
I don't... What? The windows. They came through the windows, walking on the hull. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Earth is supposed to be safe.
Get a hold of yourself.
Indeed. I can initiate a mind meld. It will calm him, and I will be able to learn what he knows about the attack. This is not normally something I would suggest, but I believe that in this instance it is necessary.
Do what you gotta. In the meantime, I will do what I gotta.
To your mind. My thoughts to your thoughts.
Get weapons. Man, it sounds like the festivities have already begun. Oh, right here. I'm only looking right at you. Here, let me give you some more things to shoot. Oh, that was short and abrupt. I feel kind of bad putting all this out for so minor an attack.
I'm feeling better now. Thank you. The Undine, yes. They just appeared in close orbit. We were taken by surprise and none of the defense systems worked. I don't know why.
I can guess.
I don't know what they want, but they've been systematic about their attacks. They want something.
Yeah, stick with us.
There is more going on with these boarding parties than mere distance. Phaser fire. There are more Starfleet officers fighting nearby. We need to manually activate the fire suppression systems.
Okay.
I thought Earth Space Dock would be a quiet assignment.
Well, you sure blew that theory, didn't you, kid? Let's see, fire suppression.
Be cautious. There are more Undine nearby.
There may be more Undine nearby, but they're going to be sorry they were nearby. Well, let's say hi. No option around this guy. I guess he's already dead. Oops. Oh, you got some big guys. Psi Master, huh? Take this. Okay, he did take it. You know, that sounded more badass before he just shrugged it off. Alright, clearly this guy is going to be a little tough to deal with than I wanted. Let's do a little bit of backup here. Pop another pair of drones out. Phasers. And naturally, once I got everything set up, everybody's gone. I tell you, sometimes there's no respect. Ah, there he is. What's up, Rack?
Admiral Tuvok, I'm gonna help hold this position. I'm not much of a soldier, but I can make repairs and help keep this area clear of Undine. I hope Admiral Quinn is okay. He was on comms a few minutes ago, but the transmission was cut off.
You fight Undine.
Be cautious. There are more Undine nearby.
We'll find Quinn. Well, I was kind of hoping that I would be able to.
Good luck.
Yes, thank you. We caught that. Harvestable. Ooh, we can check out the damage to Space Dock. Let's do that in a moment.
The damage is extensive, but we will rebuild. First, however, we must drive species A472 back to fluidic space.
That's a bit of a fixer-upper. They aren't kidding. But, as folks who are in the game know these days, it's like watching Alien. Just crawling at you on the ceiling. All we're missing are motion detectors. You know, that would be a pretty good episode, actually.
Admiral Quinn.
Oh, is that him? Okay. Now. Oh. Okay, so that wasn't actually bloody shape changers. Yeah, take care of battle leader guy. Let's do those overseers. Okay, good. I have plenty of room in my inventory. I'm collecting so many things on this mission. I wanted to make sure that I could still. Oops. Hi, Sci Guy. Bye, Sci Guy. Lost harvest. I'm pretty sure that I've already mentioned that. I will cheerfully let everybody die if it's used to harvest new stuff. I'm horrible.
The shape-shifting nature of species 8472 makes them a dangerous foe. We will have to proceed with caution to avoid being caught unaware again. Clearly, Admiral Quinn is not here. He may be still alive elsewhere on the station. The logical course of action amid so much chaos will be to re-establish the chain of command.
Okay, wait, you're saying that you want me to help take command?
Perhaps we can establish more reliable communications by directly linking to the starbase's internal systems. The consoles here can be used for that purpose. Make the attempt. I will keep watch for more Undine. I will cover you.
Yeah, you know what? I think it would be best if we had some backup. And you know what? Some additional defenses couldn't hurt either. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, you might blow the job of keeping me intact, but you might blow the job of keeping me intact, so that'd be...
Who is this? Communications are damaged. One moment. This is Admiral Quinn.
Prove it.
I suppose that's a valid question. Admiral Tuvok, we spoke briefly about your mission right before you reported back to Voyager. You mentioned your wife and said it was fortunate you had time to visit Vulcan to see T'Pel before the conference. I suppose an Undine could have discovered that information, but it's unlikely.
Okay, we'll buy it.
What is your status?
I'm pinned down in my office with Egan. We've been trying to get internal comms and sensors working. What's your status?
Basically holding off a bunch of Undine from wiping out your space station. But aside from that...
The Undine boarding parties appear to have some goal in mind, but we are unsure as to what it might be. Admiral, I suggest you hold your position. We will make our way to you.
We're on our way.
Stay alert for more imposters.
Yes, that sounds like it'll be so easy. Basically, I'd feel better just shooting anything that moves. Oh wait, I'm supposed to be working the Starfleet on here. I guess I can't do that. around the ceilings, man. Oh, there they are.
Ambush.
It's only an ambush if you're not expecting.
There are still more Undine on the station. I can feel their anger.
Thank you, Counselor Troy. Okay, that was unkind. Oh, there are a lot more there. Did we come in this direction? I bet I wasn't keeping as much track as I should. Oh, 3 plasma turrets. That is a situation I just cannot deny. Oops. Go away. I really ought to call more drones and all that, but I feel like this is probably near the place. Oh, Injured officer. Let's see him. Let's see if he's an Undine. Yep.
We should proceed to Admiral Quinn's office.
Okay, that's fair.
The way is blocked. There may be an alternate route on the upper deck.
Okay, well, if we hop up here, go around the other end.
Admiral Quinn and Commander Egan are below. The Admiral appears to require medical treatment.
Well, let's get their attention by first nuking them. And then we're going to take the high ground. What do you know? There might be something to the high ground thing after all. Okay, that's a prep battlefield here. If Quinn is here, that means something is likely to be happening soon. And if something is going to be happening soon, I'd rather it be happening to the enemy rather than to us. And back here, we will.
It is agreeable to see you, Admiral.
That and that. Okay, Admiral. Oh, great! Snap out of it, man. Oops, we have guests. The good news is we're pretty well defended here. You know, I've never really noticed the top of that shield spear before. I'm always looking at the ground level stuff, I'm usually never looking up. So it's kind of nice to see how they meld it all together, I guess. Okay, Quinn, now will you wake up?
Thank you. Now maybe we should... Commander Egan.
What? Who? This would be important to, you know, folks familiar with the old days.
Where are you going?
One moment, Admiral.
Intriguing. The amount of resistance Starfleet has offered is unexpected.
Oh, good.
That being said,
another Undine.
The weak will perish, and you are weak.
Yeah, well, so far we're kicking all your butts, so I don't know if I'd go bragging about being strong yet. Now, Egan's a tough cookie. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure how we can stop doing that. So it really comes down to wiping out the reinforcements while he's busy doing whatever the heck he's doing. Let's get a couple of the drones kicking, and oh, guess who's back online? know, I was hoping to pick up something other than Sinville on that one, but... Now stay down. Cracking eggs. Got to admire some of the accolade names. Alright, Quinn.
Egan was an Undine? That would explain what happened to our defense grid. He would have known they were coming, and had ample opportunity to sabotage us. Damn, didn't see that coming.
So, now what?
Egan. It's hard to believe.
Snap out of it, Quinn.
He attacked me mentally, led everyone into a trap. I couldn't stop him. We have much to consider. There may be... Tuvok! What's going on? Tuvok! Can you hear me? Tuvok!
Tuvok!
Oh yeah, forgot about him.
Hello, Tuvok.
The Undine masquerading as Cooper.
Egan was too weak. He spent too much time among humans. He served his purpose, and you will be far too late.
Too late for what?
Your quadrant will fall. The weak will perish. This dimension will be cleansed, purified of infestation. Your efforts are meaningless. I know your thoughts, Tuvok.
Indeed, Doctor. But I have taken advantage of this connection to look into your mind as well.
Oops!
I understand now what your plans are. You will not succeed.
You can't stop us.
Sound of someone who screwed up.
Diversion. This was all a diversion.
What do you mean?
Kronos. Their real target is Kronos.
Corin, got some great news for you.
Come. Kronos may not have much time. Your people know what it is like to lose a homeworld. We must help the Klingons save theirs.
Okay, let's head out. At least I'm not unwelcome in Klingon space.
We have arrived in the Kronos system. At this time, the ruins of Praxis are concealing our arrival from the Undine. The Klingon homeworld defense fleet has engaged the bulk of the Undine forces, but they appear to be taking heavy casualties.
I see that neither the Federation nor the Romulan Republic take this matter seriously. No matter. The Klingon Empire is accustomed to defending the Quadrant from shapeshifters. Come. Since your people have sent you as their token, let us waste no more time.
You know, you wouldn't even know about this if we hadn't poked into Cooper's brain, so...
The Romulans have promised additional aid, as has Starfleet Command. The Enterprise is contacting all available ships and...
So you say, but all you have are words. Even the Romulans sent assistance, as meager as it may be.
Man, talk about damning with faint praise. Oh well, nobody ever accused the Klingons of being gracious. Times like this make me really miss my cloaking device right now. But hey, there's at least one redeemable quality here. Shiny stuff. Yeah, the hell with your homeworld. Okay, now that that's all out of the way, let's start blowing holes in starships. For those unfamiliar, I can't believe there'd be anybody, but Praxis was once a moon of Kronos until they kind of overmined it and blew it up. That kind of was the impetus for the original Khitomer Conference, which led to the Klingon Federation Alliance. That lasted for many years until, you know... Oh, actually, it wasn't immediate, but it was on the list. Asteroid field tonight.
That was only a small force. The rest of the Undine fleet will not be so easily defeated.
Complain, complain, complain.
Are you afraid, Vulcan?
Go ahead, tell us that Vulcans don't get afraid.
The Romulan Republic has made commitments to its allies. We are here to honor them.
Thanks, Turok. Maybe Corin will shut up now. Heh, what am I thinking? Of course you won't. My shields look like hash. My ship looks like hash. I've ever used the emergencies. Oh, that almost got ugly. All things considered, I am not unhappy with where the ship is going. It's doing a lot better than I'd expected. Maybe I'll hold on to this ship for a while longer. I will admit, however, that it will not be Tellel's final ship, but I'm keeping that under my hat for now.
The orbital defenses alone will not be enough to stop the Undine advance.
We would not be alone if anyone in the Federation had the heart of a warrior.
See what I mean? Some people complain. Of course, admittedly, she left the Romulans out this time, so... From a purely selfish standpoint, fine. Not good. Shields are turning into mush. The rest of my ship is not in much better shape. Oh, there's a dreadnought. That's gonna complicate. Whoa! That's gonna complicate things more. Yeah, you know what? Going toe-to-toe with a dreadnought and my interceptor feels like it would be a poor decision. We'll stick with smaller fry at the moment. I think that kind of qualifies the shut up Tuvok moment.
This will be our day of glory.
Target's shields have failed.
Think of it as an increase in your opportunities to die with honor.
Ixnay on the dying thing? Come on, guys. You can die with honor, but I kind of prefer to live with it, so, you know, let's not go completely pessimistic yet.
My apologies for being late.
75%. Just one more ship?
Target's shields have failed.
Not exactly. We brought him to friends.
Okay, now it's a party. I am taking command. That's right, folks. I'm taking charge now. That, if anything in this mission makes the mission worth it, oh, I finally got mines. I'll have to think about actually looking back at the character who has mine skills. It might actually be worth doing at this point. Plus, I'm an interceptor, so possibilities are intriguing. We will think about this. But really, the idea of the player taking command of the massive fleet of Klingons, Romulans, and Starfleet. If Star Trek Online has a moment of awesome, this one is it. Of course, admittedly, there's still plenty of game content left. But this is certainly one of the high points. This is where you more or less establish yourself as one of the big names in, well, pretty much this half of the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, Bio Dreadnought. Oh, there's two of them actually out here. Oh, good thing we have, you know, Enterprise and Set and Fortescue. All kicking butt and taking names. Y'all are focusing on that one, so I'm going to kind of remind the other one that we know it's still here. In fact, I'm going to call for some reinforcements. Kind of miss my Singularity Core right now because I would love to pop out multiple duplicates of my ship as well. Let's shake it up a little bit. Now, I do have a confession to make that after I did my last stream, I was taking a look at some of my equipment and some of the stuff that I could claim, and I realized, oh, hey, I can get the, ouch. I can get the Bajoran warp core for this interceptor. I just had to claim it to get it. So I did. So, you know, now I'm not using the really cheap warp core that I was using when I closed out the stream last time. Just a handy aside, in case anybody actually remembered that. The only way out is through. Of course, I go through all that, and it turns out they stabbed themselves out of nowhere. Shipyard. Alright, we can do that. Nope. Man, there's an awful lot of them, aren't there? They do a pretty good job at making this battlefield fairly epic. I mean, there are bigger fights ahead. This one feels like it's got, you know, serious significance. I mean, we had an attack on Earth Space Dock. Now we've got an attack here at Kronos. These are not insignificant worlds in the canon. These are high stakes. In fact, if you really wanted to get the Perfecta, there'd be an attack on New Romulus as well. Okay, this looks bad. This looks real bad. It's big and it's ugly.
What is that thing?
Big and ugly. Didn't I just say that?
The Undine have brought a large craft through a quantum singularity.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
They're powering up weapons.
The Undine have a new planet killer.
And apparently they just wiped out the
Target
shipyard.
that ship and fire all weapons.
No effect. They're too strong.
I feel like we had a special effects failure in the last couple frames.
Voyager has one nanite torpedo remaining from her time in the Delta Quadrant. Such devices proved effective against the Undine in the past. Tactical. Fire when ready.
Did nobody think to replicate these things? Yeah, it feels like they've missed a couple special effects.
They took some damage, but the planet killer can still fire. I can get the Aquarius into firing position above her and exploit the opening in her shields, but someone will need to keep the Undine distracted.
Why is everybody suddenly looking at me? Still. Oh. Yeah, hold your horses. I'm doing it again. Okay, now this is where it starts getting fun. Because now we're basically cannonball run at this point. Can't turn left or right. It's just basically straight on forward and shoot everything you see. I'm a little disturbed how a number of my bridge observability seem to be unavailable. Well, we've shot it up quite a bit, haven't we?
Weapons are offline. This is our only chance. Setting the Aquarius on a collision course.
That didn't really work for Commodore Decker.
Do we have Sean's coordinates?
Getting locked now, sir.
Well, that helps too. And it's hardly a planet killer. Well, not a planet killer like the planet killer. And there I am shooting my weapons at.
He did it, sir. The planet killer has been destroyed.
Tuvok to Allied fleet. Stand down. The Undine are retreating. Captain Sean.
Transporter room. Did you get him?
We have
Captain Sean to Admiral Tuvok. Permission to come aboard?
So we have won the battle. But what comes next?
The High Council sent a message saying they wish to speak with you. They have requested we transport directly to the High Council chambers.
Let's beam down. I have less to fear about it than, say, Starfleet people, although I am kind of nominally aligned with Starfleet, so maybe I do have a little to worry about. On the other hand, I don't see swords out and screams and weapons fire going on, so I'm going to assume that things may not be bad. Walden! I remember you!
There are many here who have seen the danger Species 8472 presents with their own eyes for the first time. Thank you for your assistance in protecting both Earth and Kronos from the Undine.
I wonder if he's been chugging blood.
However terrible, this battle did have one benefit. Today's fight opened the door to what may be a lasting peace between the Federation and the Empire.
Oh, we can but hope.
Now we must have the courage to compromise for the greater good. In its way, that can be more difficult than waging war. The formalities will begin soon. Until then, I must take the time to speak to others who were instrumental in the success of this mission.
That sounds great. You go ahead and do that. Me? Well, let's take a look at our mission requirements. Celebrate. Talk. Toast victory. Dance. Use party devices. Do I have any party devices on this character? I don't think I do, because I'm pretty sure this character didn't exist when the last bunch of party devices were available. Ooh, I found something even more important, however. Shiny scan things. Do I get credit for that? You know, it only now occurs to me I'm grabbing titanium. Where was that when I needed it? Now, there's something about toasting to victory. Chug-a-lug! Oh, well, let's have we thought people to chat with, too. Decisions. Let's talk to Jirok. She's one of our people here, so...
I'm glad we were here to help our allies. It wasn't our fight, but helping to save Sol and Kronos was the right decision. This is the future my father dreamed of.
It was a good one. Let's see, Titan! What do you got to say about all this?
Our people come from a culture of deception and division. We've rejected our past in favor of open alliances. Perhaps it's time for the Federation and the Empire to set aside their past as well. We would welcome a ceasefire between our allies.
Thank you. Hey, it looks like we got a dance floor over here. Woo! Yeah, I just had to be silly. Let's talk to Staz. I always liked him.
Your people are survivors, as are mine. Survival may dictate an end to our conflict with the Federation.
Hey, I'm liking the sound of that. Let's see. Speaking of ambassador, ooh, shiny. Oh, Worf's over there. I suppose I should have a chat with him too. I tell you, that current look he's got, it's so much better than what he was rocking in the previous years.
I served in Starfleet, and now I serve the Empire. There are many on both sides of the current conflict for whom I have deep respect. I see this as an opportunity. We may find we have more in common than we realize.
Quite right. And sure, we'll talk to Corin.
I never thought I would be pleased to see a Romulan at my back. But you fight with honor and the ferocity of a true warrior. However, I now see that Worf was correct. There is honor in the Federation as well. The time for our battle against Starfleet has passed. We should turn our blades toward the real enemy. I remember you from the Gateway activation.
I feel like they got that backwards.
May our meetings on the battlefield always be as glorious.
Right back at you. And, try to lighten up a bit when the whole fighting thing goes. Unfortunately, now it turned off everybody else's dialogue, so I can't speak with anybody else. Which is a pity, because I didn't see an option to talk to Zero, which would have been hilarious, but we do have one more person we can talk to. The Klingon Chancellor, Jimpak.
You fought well for a Romulan.
I would like to point out that, I realize that this is a common mistake that people make. This is not the face of a Romulan. Just saying. Here we go. History is being made.
Many fine warriors have earned their places in Stovacor today. They died with honor, fighting one of our most formidable enemies. The Undine brought the battle to our very threshold. The fine warriors standing before me pushed them back. Let us honor our sacrifices and our accomplishments by ending...
That can't be good.
So, you are the humans of the Milky Way. You have come further than we expected. But still you chase our shadows.
We are not here to impress you, demon! We stand united, and
I think we're looking at the Iconians. Well, okay. Technically, I know I'm looking at the Iconians, but hey.
We give you a single warning to not attract our attention again.
What was that? I think I've got a pretty good idea. Iconians.
That was the reason we need to work together. It's time for our feud to end.
Agreed. From this day forward, all hostilities between the Empire and the Federation will cease.
It may not be a big celebration kind of thing, but it does kind of end on the right tone.
The Iconians use servitor races and other species to do their fighting for them. Species 8472 has been an unknowing catspaw of the Iconians for some time. This time, however, the Undine were defeated, and it was our combined strength that allowed us to prevail. Thousands of years ago, the Iconians were defeated by an alliance of races. I predict their ultimate aim has been to prevent such an alliance from happening again.
Well, they seem to have stumbled here.
There have been periods in our combined history when the Federation and the Empire have not been at war, but they have not been allies either. This may be the beginning of such a time. It will be up to us to determine what happens next. With time, we may even restore the alliance that came out of the Khitomer Accords.
Well, what's our next step?
Voyager will return to the Delta Quadrant. There is much to do there, and the Genolan Sphere will need to be protected from further Undine assaults. I am sure I will see you again. You have been a worthy ally, and your wisdom and courage will be called upon in the days ahead. Until then, live long and prosper.
Until next time. And let's report back. I am humbled by the magnitude of your heroism and your sacrifices. Though it was my sincere hope that the Romulan Republic could establish a strong presence in the galaxy and walk the tightrope of alliance with both the Federation and the Klingon Empire, you have saved both of them. The threat of the Iconians hangs over us, but you have shown that no matter the scope of our trials, they can be overcome. Go with my thanks and my hopes. So, let's take a look at those kit modules. I'm currently using a Mark 10 that bumps up my weapon damage and my shield hardness, which is really sad because, you know, I like those better than all of those. Oh, there's also a console here. More phaser, more disruptor damage, but you know what I don't see? I don't see more plasma damage, or what am I using on this thing actually? Okay, we're still using my plasma stuff, so all these pretty much stink. So I'm gonna grab the one that will give me more energy credits myself. Escalation. I could have sworn I've done this one. Nope, okay. The activation of the gateway at the heart of the Solanae Dyson Sphere has given us access to another Dyson Sphere, originally found near the Genolan system, that is now located deep in the Delta Quadrant. The Romulan Republic, the Federation, and the Klingon Empire have put aside their differences in order to unite against common enemies, but they need skilled captains and crews willing to join the fight. Travel through the gateway and contact Delta Command once you reach the Genolan Dyson Sphere of the Delta Quadrant. This is basically a introductory mission, so there's piddling here. So we're going to go to the Delta Quadrant. Do I want to go to the Delta Quadrant? I think I have to go to the Delta Quadrant this way. Incoming hail from Voyager. On screen.
Welcome to the Genolan Dyson Sphere. The situation in the Delta Quadrant is continuing to develop. We will need the assistance of all our allies to stay ahead of it.
Oh, looking forward to serving with you again. So now we got an area called Delta Quadrant Command. Let's beam to it, shall we? And we'll take a look around. On the surface, well, it's pretty similar to other Dyson Sphere stuff. Oh, and here we go. Welcome. Yay! Yay us! But we're not going to click on Mindscape because I don't think we're going to have the time to get Mindscape done and do it the proper amount of justice. So we're going to take a tour of...
Admiral Tuvok has requested that you meet Voyager in the Solarian...
I told you no. Got a commodities broker here, which is good because I can sell a whole bunch of stuff. Actually, let's take a look at my stuff as it is. I don't think I feel the need to upgrade any of my personal equipment. What about the rest of my crew? Marara's fine. Marcel's fine. Shayla's... We'll give her the improved armor. And then there's no. You know, we're in pretty good shape as far as the personal equipment goes, actually. So I might be doing a whole bunch of selling in the near future. What about the ship? Well, right now we're using impulse engines made out of Solanae. Let me rephrase how I said that. Made from Solanae tech, not made out of Solanae. I was thinking about these mines. And I do have a piddling torpedo launcher in the back, so let's... Okay, it's not quite piddling because it's an infinity level one. And now that I have that up there, let's take a look at my bridge crew for a moment. Here we go. Dispersal Alpha. We'll see how well that works out in a future combat situation. I am intrigued by the possibilities. Let's move this up here so I don't accidentally sell the stupid thing. Everything else here, I think, is basically stuff I can throw away. I'm not going to replace any of the Mark 12 stuff. I would like to replace this plasma beam array weapon. Well, maybe I can, actually. If I go to my reputation, and I go to my new Romulus, I go to the store there, I have beam arrays to access for a mere 22,000 dilithium. Ow! But I think it'll be worth it. So we're gonna go with something that does lots of crit damage. I mean, hey, might as well use a weapon that'll make it hurt. Make it hurt at least as badly as the hit I took with my dilithium. Okay, and at this point, I believe that takes care of my weapons. I don't believe... Well, okay, I did pick up a couple science consoles, and even though that they're all basically useless... Well, they're not useless, but... We'll put them on. And let's see, what was this? Oh, proton, polaron, whatever. We don't need that. Oh, we have a couple of the boxes. A couple guns, no big deal. They're all basically sellables at this point. And now that I've done that, I think we're going to actually chat with our commodities broker, and we are going to sell off a whole bunch of stuff. We'll keep the batteries, though. Batteries may have use in the future. Some things is a little more painful to get rid of, but... I suppose I could have kept the food stuff too, but that drops like crazy anyway. I'm not horribly concerned. And some of the stuff, yes, some of the stuff I could probably sell on the exchange. But right now I'm just mostly concerned with clearing out the debris. In the future, perhaps, but not today. We'll do a resort. And I'm pretty sure there's a bank somewhere in here, and if I'm right, we'll dump some of this stuff on it and clear even more stuff out. In the meantime, let's take a look at what else is in the Delta Command area. Run down long hallways. That was creepy. Speaking of creepy, okay, good. There is something solid. Over on our left, we have ship, all the Starship stuff, equipment, selector, all that good stuff, customizer, none of which I feel a need to monkey with. Over here, it looks like we have another commodities guy, away team equipment, and a tailor, which is all well and good, but, you know, then again, at one point, I guess they were really planning on using this as a hub. Here's an exchange. And where there is an exchange, you will usually find... Well, okay, not just mail. Not just an exchange. Oh, come on, don't read... There we go. We have banks on the left-hand side, no wonder. So we're going to open up that bank and want to dump some debris in here. My infinity level stuff. Subtle stuff, we are going to just put in the bank for future reference. The Scorpion fighters I'm going to hold on to for future reference as well. I'm taking the Bajoran Singularity Core because at some point, if I get to another Romulan ship, I'm going to want to equip it. More infinities. Let's move you over here. Still have a couple things here. Oh yeah, the platinum sniper thing, which I can care less about. What else we got? Shroud generators. I'll bank them for now. I might call upon them at some point. Oh yeah, in my cryo grenades. Keep them, even though they're kind of in the category of too awesome to use. But you never know. You never know. Last thing I'll do is open up the account bank and slap these infinity boxes in here because it's the only lockbox I find any great value in, and there's almost no chance of anything decent being in any of those, but you know, plan ahead. The possibilities exist. Someday we'll see what happens. Alright, to the south we have an engineering area where we have the chief engineering officer. Infirmary up here, and that's probably where you can take care of wounds. I may or may not have actually gone into this before, so in case I haven't, let me show you. When you have missions, one of the things that you can do is you can change difficulty levels. You've got normal difficulty, which is what I've been pretty much sticking with. You've got advanced, which will be, well, more difficult, and elite, which is really difficult. And why would you do these? Because everything has a better chance of dropping better stuff. Things that are white drops might be green. Green drops might be blue. Blue drops might be purple. Purple drops, well, they'll still probably be purple. You get the idea. There's just nothing fancy involved here. And if I'm doing story content stuff, I'm really not willing to get too exotic. And I keep this reinforcements mission here because one day I'm going to get this maintenance here. It's the last thing I do. Hasn't happened yet and probably never will. It's irritating. But that's what the point I was getting to, right? When you do the advanced or elite difficulty, what could happen to you is that you could actually take physical wounds, you or your away team, and your ship can take actual damage. And to heal that, you would either use something like... I sold them, didn't I? I bet I sold them. Well, the replicator will probably have an example. No, actually, it doesn't have an example. Well, suffice it to say, there are items that you can use to regenerate people or repair your ship. Or you can go to the chief engineering officers or the chief medical officers at the various docks. So that's why those are there. There is a real reason for there to be an infirmary and an engineering area. And up in the center here... Oh, who are you? Well, why don't we chat with you? Who are you? You're standing apart from everybody, so I'm curious. I'm nosy. My name is Raish Sahin, Admiral. Officially, I serve under Commander Minna as part of Republic Intelligence as a Class 6 analyst. Unofficially, however, let's say that there are certain tasks that need to be done, and it takes certain people of a certain mindset to be able to do them. But I'm not Tal Shiar. I am loyal to my people and the Alliance, not to subspace aliens or the Iconians. I might need your help with some off-the-record operations. Come back later and I'll tell you what I can. Foreshadowing. A valid literary technique. Let's have a chat with these three individuals who are kind of key to the next set of episodes. And we'll start talking with Burgess first.
I don't want to waste your time with trivialities. I suggest you return at a later time.
And you are?
Commander Ethan Burgess, at your service. I was raised in London, and I didn't give much thought to a career in service until the Breen attack on Earth during the Dominion War. My eyes were open that day. If we weren't safe on Earth, the most protected world in the Federation, we weren't safe anywhere. I joined Starfleet soon after. I was recruited out of the Academy for Starfleet Intelligence, and I've spent my entire career at SI. Wouldn't have it any other way. The Delta Quadrant became a bit of a pet project of mine over the years. I spent hours analyzing Voyager's logs and mission reports and learning all I could about this area of space. There's so much here we need to understand. The Voth, the Undine, the Borg, and they're just the tip of the spear. Now that Starfleet is back here, I want to be at the forefront of learning all we can about the Quadrant and its dangers. Hello, would you...
Okay, let's talk to Galera. And who are you, besides, you know, Klingon? I think you're a Klingon. I suppose you would say I'm one of Cayman's orphans. My father is Klingon. My mother is from Bajor. It was an explosive relationship, and it didn't last long. I spent my childhood on transport ships, traveling between two worlds and belonging in neither of them. All I wanted was to disappear. I tried archaeology, thinking the past would be a good place to lose myself. Then I joined a colony expedition. That ended because of the war. Then I became a volunteer in the refugee camps. Then a writer. It was useless. That's when Cayman found me. He gave me a purpose. More importantly, he gave me something to belong to. I'm going to pause this for a second here because it is likely that viewers will not know that Cayman is basically the opposite number, shall we say, of Franklin Drake in Starfleet. He is pretty much their major spy master. Going on. We're all outsiders in Klingon intelligence, but if we were warriors, we'd be on a warship. But that doesn't mean the work we do isn't meaningful. This is the Delta Quadrant. We're all outsiders here. And finally, we'll talk to Commander Mena. Even though we're not doing the mission, we want to know who she is. You can call me Mena. Normally I like to stay in the shadows, but what's going on here is important enough that I think I need to see it for myself. I was in the intelligence game a long time. I was Tal Shiar back before the destruction of the homeworld. Back when that meant something. We weren't just Seela's thugs. We were doing the work needed to keep an empire running. You know, that's not the way to get on my good side. I didn't fit in with the new regime after we lost Romulus. I knew Hakiv was playing a bigger game, and I tried to call him on it. Then he pulled some strings and got me sent away. I've heard the rumors. I know that some people think my time in deep cover affected my mind. And it did, but not in the way they think. Getting away from Hakiv and Seela gave me the time to think, to see what we were doing was wrong. So I left, and I've been with Datan ever since. Datan is a great man, but he's a man of peace. There are certain situations that he's not equipped to deal with. I handle those, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect the Romulan people. And that leads us nicely into what will be the next episodic arc, simply called Delta Quadrant, which was introduced, technically speaking, during the expansion Delta Rising. And that expansion, let's just say that there were issues, and it didn't help that the devs pretty much said something along the lines of, "This is our best expansion ever," and the players love it, and that became a meme. And they were basically bludgeoned over the head and shoulders with that meme for, well, it had to be in at least a couple years. I think I'd still see it show up once in a while. But things are much better now, but it does introduce some of the more annoying opposition that we're going to run into inside Star Trek Online. Period. And it also occurs to me that the ship I'm flying is probably not suited to deal with those opponents, but it doesn't matter. This is for future reference. But as you can see, there are a significant number of missions, and there is actually more missions here than it looks, because also in this mission series, if I recall correctly, will involve something called the Kobali Crisis. And we will be getting involved with that too when the time comes. So, a lot to look forward to. And I would be remiss in pointing out that even though we're doing the Delta Quadrant, we're still looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 story arcs left to go. And admittedly, number 8 is kind of incomplete at the moment. But even though we've done a whole bunch of content, we have a pretty good chunk laying ahead, including the very ominously titled Iconian War. Gee, I can't imagine what that could involve. But suffice it to say that this particular arc is literally the big turning point in the entire game of Star Trek Online. That everything that had been released before then had been leading up to the Iconian War. And the Delta Quadrant is basically ramping up to it. And that's what we'll be seeing in the coming weeks. We are now hitting near the 10 o'clock p.m. hour, so it feels like a great time to close things up for today. I will return next Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern to roughly 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Even though it will be December 23rd, I will still be streaming. And I will be streaming the first episode, possibly the second, depending on, how quickly we get through them, of the Delta Quadrant mission arcs. I will also be streaming on Saturday, and I will be streaming a different game. I stream Star Citizen on Saturdays at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern to 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I have high expectations. Okay, moderately high expectations. That a new patch will have landed by then, and that will make my activities in that game a little more interesting, shall we say. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this delve into Star Trek Online, whether you're watching it live or watching it after the fact, so to speak. This is Korith Landwalker, signing off.